I've got a problem, and that is my Nintendo Switch, which is the original Nintendo Switch that I've had for about 5 to 6 years. Yeah, it's finally on its way out. It's dying. So I love my Nintendo Switch, I really do, and it's my favourite console of this generation. Yes, the hardware of the console is a bit of a downgrade compared to, say, like the PS5 or the Xbox Series X, absolutely. However, in my opinion, the best games that are available right now are all on Nintendo Switch. There's a reason why I've become a bit of a Nintendo Switch game collector, as you can see in the background. I mean, the games for the Switch are second to none in my opinion. There's so many great games out there that you can get for it, and they're quite cheap as well. What I'm going to do in this video is look for the cheapest price for a new Nintendo Switch, and I am going for the Nintendo Switch Oled. I don't have a Nintendo Switch Oled, surprisingly. I simply don't. I've never needed one. I have the original Switch, but because it's on its way out, I thought, you know what, this is the time to do so. The Nintendo Switch has been out for 7 years now, and honestly, I do really think that even though the game console is so old, it's 7 years old, it's still entirely worth having in your collection, having one available to play, because there's just so many great games on Nintendo Switch. I went to my local centre in Derby, which is a shopping centre. There's always great shops there to go buy games and look for consoles. Now, HMV is actually primarily a music shop. You can, however, buy DVDs and Blu-rays there. You know, that's another thing about it. It's basically a general media shop. However, I do feel that HMV these days has really gone downhill. And the reason for this is because it just feels so empty in the shops now. And I think part of that reason is because of the digital age. A lot of people aren't really using physical media anymore. Apart from me, I love physical media. With streaming services like Netflix and Disney Plus and stuff like that, we don't really need physical media as much now. So HMV is kind of in a dying age, I feel. And it shows because they don't even sell video games anymore. And they really did used to, because I used to actually buy video games from HMV. However, they did have a PS5 available. You could buy PS5s at HMV, which is surprising because they didn't have any Nintendo Switch OLEDs, which really did kind of annoy me a little bit, because I was kind of hoping they would have some just so I could compare prices. So I moved on to the next shop. The next shop I went to was CEX. Now, the reason I went to CEX is because everything at CEX is secondhand, because I wanted to compare prices for secondhand Nintendo Switch OLEDs. CEX always have quite a few available. You can buy secondhand Nintendo Switch OLEDs from there. However, in my opinion, I personally would never buy a secondhand console. I just don't want that risk of buying a console that's been given to CEX just in case there's damage or it's on its last legs. You know, I wouldn't take that risk. If I was to buy a console, I'd buy it brand new. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to look for the cheapest price Nintendo Switch there, so I knew what kind of margin I had at buying a Nintendo Switch OLED, what kind of price I was looking at for very cheap. The cheapest price I could find at CEX for a Nintendo Switch OLED was £240, and that was for the Mario Special Edition OLED. I actually really like the Mario Edition OLED. I am considering actually getting that one. I feel like it might build a bit of value in the future with it being a special edition, because I like the red consoles anyway. My actual Nintendo Switch is a red console. Like, I have 2 Joycons on my Switch which are red, and I really like that aesthetic. I am considering getting the red OLED Switch just because it looks nice, and you also get the red dock as well to go with it. So this isn't really a bad price for me, £240. However, like I say, it is secondhand, so it's a no-go for me this time round. However, I do know now what price to look for. You know, I want to get as close to that price as possible, with that being the cheapest available price secondhand. So then I moved on to the next shop, which was Game. Game is located in Sports Direct, annoyingly. I really hate this. I really hate that Game is now in Sports Direct. Game does not belong in Sports Direct. Please, can we get normal shops just for Game? I was a bit surprised in Game, really. They didn't really advertise the Switches to buy singly. You could only get them in packs. So what I mean by that is when you buy a Nintendo Switch at Game, you would get like a free gift with it, or like for a little bit extra, you know, you could get like Mario Kart 8 or Super Mario Wonder. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a deal. So the cheapest price I found in Game was $309.99, and that came with a free game. The games available that were on offer were shovelware, basically. It wasn't great games to buy. The best game that you could see in this selection to choose from to go as a free gift was Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I don't know if I would get that version, because it was probably a download in a box code thing, if you know what I mean. So it probably isn't really worth that value. Probably just $309.99 plus a download code for a game. I would rather have the actual physical version of that game. But there is other games from that selection as well, which I don't know if they're digital downloads. They might actually be cartridges, so there might be a bit of value there. So you could potentially rip yourself off, I guess. That is a relatively decent price, I guess. I suppose you're getting a free thing with it. The other deal they had in game was $329.99 for the Neon OLED, and that comes with either Mario Kart 8 or Super Mario Bros. Wonder. In my opinion, I would go for Mario Kart 8 out of those two. I already have those games, so it's difficult for me to choose from those games really. However, there is a bit of value for those, so I would get those games and I would just trade them in for another game. But I do think that $329.99 is a little bit steep. I think that's the highest price I found for a brand new Switch OLED. And the game selection there, for me, I've got those games already, so it's not really worth me going for that $329.99. Unless I really wanted the Neon Switch, which I don't. It's not worth it for me, I guess, that price. It might be for you if you really want the Neon Switch. I also forgot to mention that the $309.99 was the Mario Red version, so it was the Mario Red OLED for $309.99 plus the free game. The next shop I went to is an independent game shop known as MGX. So I've been in this shop a few times because they do a lot of retro. I love that there's a shop that's selling retro games, Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo 64, everything that you can think of. When I was doing my Nintendo 3DS game collecting last year, they were very helpful and a lot of games there that I brought from them. However, when it comes to Nintendo Switch in this shop, I feel like they're a bit lackluster. They don't have the best selection. You can buy new games from them, but they're at like the highest prices possible. And you can buy second hands, but I feel like the second hands collection there isn't the best. MGX is kind of like another CEX in a way, I guess. However, you can buy new stuff. The best price I found in this shop for a Nintendo Switch OLED, and this was the white edition, was £280. That's pretty good. However, this was a second-hand console, so it probably wasn't worth buying at this point. I did, however, notice that there was a Fortnite Switch in the window at the front, and that was for £230. Now, I actually think that these Fortnite Switches, they are quite rare, actually. That was quite cool. Like, I've never seen one before. I really like the colour of the Joycons on the Fortnite Switch, so it's annoying that you can't really just get those controllers on their own unless you can. Someone might be able to tell me in the comments. But yeah, the Fortnite Switch, £230. If you really want the original Switch, you know, that's a pretty decent buy, I feel. I feel like the Fortnite Switch might become a bit of a collector's item. So £230, not bad. I personally wouldn't buy it myself. I would buy it for the Joy-Cons, but I really need an OLED. I want the OLED Switch. The next shop I went to was a shop that has nothing to do with gaming, really. And this shop is EE, which is known as a phone shop. It's a place where you can get a contract for a brand new phone. So it's a phone shop, like basically like Apple or O2. So EE basically do like a contract with Nintendo Switches where if you buy a new contract, you know, you can get a Nintendo Switch for free. I'm not willing to get a new contract for my phone at the moment. This isn't helpful for me really. However, I just want to point out that this is a thing you can do, that if you're buying a new phone and you get a new contract, there might be a deal there where you can get a Nintendo Switch for free as part of your contract, and that's awesome. And yes, these were the OLED versions as well. It was the white OLED that I noticed they were selling. I don't know if they had other colours, but this was the white one they had. The next place I went to was Argos, and Argos is kind of like a Amazon store. Order online and you go pick it up, you collect it. It's basically Amazon, but a shop. I really love Argos. It's one of the best shops you can go to. £299 I found for the white OLED and $309.99 for the neon OLED. So $299 for the white OLED by itself. That's the best price I could find it for a brand new Switch. That's really good. You're basically saving about £10 there if you just get the white OLED. So it's the cheapest price and it's the closest to the £240. It's not a massive saving. No, it's £10, but at the same time, you know, that's £10 towards a new game. So there we go, I guess. £299.99 for the white OLED at Argos, or £309.99 for the neon OLED. I personally wouldn't get the $309.99 for the neon OLED. If it came with like a gift, like a free thing like Game was doing for the Mario Red for $309.99 with a free plus gift, maybe then I'd consider it, but Argos aren't doing that deal. They're literally just selling Nintendo Switches at $309.99. Not worth it in my opinion. The $299.99 one is more worth it, and that's probably the one I'd go for. Next, just over the road, was Smiths, and everyone on this channel knows how much I love Smiths, because for some reason Smiths just sell games way cheaper than everywhere else. They're the best place to buy new games. I've had countless times where I've been to Smiths and they're selling brand new games that have just come out at the cheapest price. I love it. So Smiths, however, I'm going to be honest, they didn't have the best deal for Nintendo Switch. The price they were selling their Nintendo Switch, and this was a bit different because it was any other version you could pick up for this deal. So if you wanted the Zelda edition or the White edition or the Mario edition, you know, you can get it at Smith's. However, they were selling them at $329.99 with a new game. And there is a selection of games you can get. They all look to be Nintendo first party games, which is good. But they weren't selling games that I didn't have already, so it's a difficult one really. I would potentially go for this deal so that I could trade in that game. It depends really, because this is the deal I would go for if I didn't just want the Nintendo Switch OLED. So maybe that's just something to think about. If I was willing to pay the extra £20, which is, let's just say the £309.99 is the base price, you know, that's where the average place is selling the console for. If you're going to add that extra 20 quid for a game, basically, you have to remember that the free game isn't necessarily free because you're still paying an extra £20. That's kind of where you have to wonder, do you have this game already? Is the game worth that value if you trade it in? And I would have to question that if I was to buy this deal. But yeah, it's not a bad deal, I guess. It's a better deal than what Game were offering, I suppose, for their £329.99. There's more selection of games instead of just Super Mario Bros. Wonder or Mario Kart 8. Yeah, so that's kind of the other offer you could go for. It depends on the game, I guess. And then the final place I went to was Curry's. Now, Curry's is a place where you go for technology, so like PCs, TVs, laptops, even game consoles. And that's the reason why I went to Curry's. Now, Curry's was bad, I'm going to be honest with you. I couldn't find a price for Nintendo Switch OLED. They have them available, and I could see them on the shelf. However, they just didn't have it priced. I couldn't see a price anywhere, so I had no idea how much this price was for this Nintendo Switch OLED right in front of me. I had to go all the way to the front desk to see if I could see any more information, and yes, they did have information available because it was just on a piece of A4 paper printed off, and it said Nintendo Switch OLED £309.99, which is what I was expecting, to be honest. So yeah, like I said, the base price for these Nintendo Switch OLEDs are £309.99, which is fine. However, you can get them cheaper, like I've proven. You can go to Argos and get the Switch on its own for £299.99, as long as you want the white OLED. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a successful day, I guess. The cheapest price I found was £240 for the Mario Edition OLED. However, like I say, that's secondhand. So if I was to buy that for £240, I would have to make sure that it's in pristine condition. It's not going to break on me after a couple of weeks or months. But if I was to buy a brand new Switch, I think I would maybe consider Smith's if I was going to get the free game, the £329.99 and get the free game. I would have to consider getting a game I don't already have. Or if I was to get a game that I do already have, I would have to look at the value of that game when it comes to trading, just to see if I can change that game for another one. The best price was at Argos, $209.99 for the white OLED, and that's kind of the Switch I'm going towards. I feel like the white one is the best looking, in my opinion. I really like the white version Switch OLED. I'm not a massive fan of the collector's edition OLEDs, like the Zelda one, the Pokemon one. I'm not a massive fan of them for some reason. I feel like it kind of limits your creativeness of the Switch, being able to switch the Joycons around and that, purely because at the back of the OLED you have like the printed designs on them, and I'm not a massive fan of that. And plus the dock as well, you know, they are all different when it comes to the collector's versions. The best one in my opinion is the Mario one, the full red dock, and I actually really like that dock compared to the one that you get in the Pokemon one or the Zelda one. I'm not saying I don't like the Switch designs, I just wouldn't have one myself, in my opinion. So yeah, there we go. That's my findings of the day. I don't know how useful that is. It might not be useful at all, but you might also think, you know, it's best to shop around and have a look before you buy, I guess. And now I did look online to see how much a Nintendo Switch OLED is being priced on the official Nintendo website. There was a really good price on the Nintendo website actually, that you can get the Neon Edition for £309.99, as well as a free game, which is Mario Kart 8, and it comes with 3 months membership in Nintendo Switch Online. So in theory, that is actually the best deal there is, really. If you want to get a free game which is actually free and you're not paying that extra £20. Nintendo Switch Online as well added. The version on the Nintendo website is probably the best price. $309, there we go. That proves that Nintendo are actually pricing their Switches at the best price. So that's food for thought, I guess. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope that's been helpful for you. It might not have been at all. I'm sorry if it isn't. Please do like, comment and subscribe. And also check out this video right here. This is the last video I made. I really work hard on these, so please do take your time to check it out. I will see you around. Bye.